You were outlining the benefits that the UK has, and of course two of the top universities on the planet as well, plus areas like Imperial as well, which has such a very big role in UK science. The problem is, and you know this full well, and Jeff just made the point as well, while we were just getting you back as well, it has to be collaboration with our partners as well, and politics is still, and those swords from Brexit still getting in the way.
Yeah, it's a shame, and you know, the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and with my support, negotiated carefully. We'd be in Horizon, Copernicus, Euratom. These are the European research programs, and it's a shame. But it's the EU. It's not the member states. Actually, they're all very supportive. Why wouldn't they be? We put about 15 billion in. We get about 14 odd billion back. We're major international collaborators. So what I'm signalling today is we still want to be in. We're still pushing to be in. And for your viewers, there are two parts of it really. There's fellowships and then there's international collaborations. But I've made very clear that I can't allow UK researchers to be benched in a sort of European Cup of science, and we'll have to do more in the World Cup. We'll have to play more globally. So we've put in place a guarantee so that all those programmes that qualify for Horizon funding, we will fund in the UK, and I'm extending that today. Secondly, 2 weeks ago, we announced another £480 million of interim research funding for our top universities who've been hit by this. And most importantly, perhaps, we've set out now a very bold programme so the EU can see that if they don't want our 15 billion, we will commit to a big programme of international research and collaboration. And I've been around the world in the last year. We've negotiated a collaboration with, I was in Japan last week, with Switzerland signed, with Israel to be signed, but also global collaborations around big global issues, from polar research to agri-tech in Africa, cleaning the oceans, safe space. You know, the world needs science, and the UK is an international leader, and we're determined to make sure that we'll give our researchers the chance, and this country the chance, to play more in that international space if the EU don't want us to play with them. We'd like to do both.
George, let me ask you just about funding here, because I think we're all aware after the last budget that money is tight. And the government is looking at ways in which it can save. We have a country now that is mired in industrial action, whether it's the nurses or the railway workers. Wherever you look at the moment, there are people with a hand out wanting more from the government at this stage. How can you prioritise more support for science that would hopefully improve the growth profile of this country, whilst there are so many who would like the government to be putting the cash in their pockets?
It's a very fair question, and my answer is very simple. In the end, the only way to be able to pay everyone more in the public sector and to grow prosperity in the private sector, which is how we generate the tax, is to grow the industries, the businesses, companies of tomorrow. And we cannot rely on being a service economy with boom and bust economics if we're going to have sustainable public finances. And that's what the Prime Minister, Chancellor, Cabinet and I are totally committed to. So we're in a global race for these new technologies. And the UK is a genuine leader in fusion, new source of energy, in quantum, next-gen advanced computing, in space and satellite technology, in agri-tech, in autonomous vehicles. I could go on. But what we've tended to do is win the academic prizes, but not attract the really big industrial inward investment and industrial R&D. So my message is very clear. The Prime Minister and Chancellor have put in an extra 30 billion over the next 5 years. It's a 30% increase. And we now need to match that with 2-to-1 private sector investment. And if we do that, by the way, science has achieved that ratio very, very easily in the past, we'll lay the foundations for the growth for tomorrow, sustainable growth that, like in the life science sector, which I led the industrial strategy 10 years ago, it's delivered billions of inward investment. And by the way, helped us discover the pandemic cure. So these are the industries that will grow the economy tomorrow and mean more money for public services.